Hi, I'm Cindy Winget, the author of some gothic horror mashups, and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Halloween recommendations. So I really wanted to focus on books that actually take place in October or around Halloween time, because I think they're a little bit more special than just reading a scary story or a horror book, which you could read all year long. So I like to prioritize ones that actually take place around Halloween. However, my one caveat to that is the first set of books I want to talk about doesn't technically take place around Halloween time that I know of. However, it is very autumnal, and you'll know exactly what I mean when I mention it. So I am talking about The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So the first one I want to talk about is Love in a Time of Pumpkins, and this is a short story. I'm actually planning on reading this myself soon. This is about a woman who is a professor at a prestigious school, but she decides to give that up to go to Sleepy Hollow and have a more peaceful, quiet life, just doing tour guides for Sleepy Hollow. But then she meets this cute guy, and some kind of mystery ensues, and they both try to figure out this historical mystery together. So it sounds cute, sounds autumnal, so I'm excited to read this. And then we have a YA novel called Raising the Horseman. I read this book a couple of years ago, and I absolutely loved the setting and the vibes, and the atmosphere was really, really great. But I didn't really care for the story itself, but you might be different, so I'm not going to discourage you from checking it out if you want to. This does have a sapphic romance in it, and it's about this girl who is the great-great-great-granddaughter of Katrina Van Tassel. So this is like 200 years later, set in modern times. And she ends up moving to Sleepy Hollow, and she meets this girl who tells her about the legend, and apparently they are discovering that the legend is actually true, and supernatural things start to happen. And then speaking of YA novels, we have Horseman by Christina Henry, and I also read this one the same year that I read the other one. I felt like this one was far superior. So this is about a girl who also lives in Sleepy Hollow, but this is historical. So this was only 30 years after the original Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and this is about the granddaughter of Brom Bones. And she's a bit of a tomboy, and she lives during a time where women couldn't really do much, and so she wants to, have adventure and go hunting and get dirty with the boys and not have to wear dresses and stuff like that. And she stumbles upon a body in the woods of this young boy whose head has been chopped off. So they're trying to figure out what happened, and she's thinking that maybe the Legend of Sleepy Hollow had something to do with it. And then the last one I want to talk about is The Spellbook of Katrina Van Tassel, and I actually hope to get to this one this year. I'm planning on reading this one soon. It is pretty chunky, so I hope I can get to this one because I really would love to. It's been on my shelves for a few years now, and I just haven't gotten to it yet, and I really want to. But anyways, this is, as you can imagine, about Katrina Van Tassel, and I didn't really read the back before I started this video, but I think her and Ichabod have like a love affair out in the woods that they're not supposed to be having, and then different things start to happen. And it looks like this one actually does take place on All Hallows Eve, so this would be a really excellent one because not only is it autumnal because of the Sleepy Hollow legend, but it does actually take place on Halloween. So I will give you all the tea when I actually read it. And of course, I have to talk about my own book called The Apparition. I promise I'm not trying to promote this, but it is perfect for the Halloween season because it does have a Halloween party scene in it, and it does have all the autumnal vibes, and it's just perfect for the season, so I have to mention it. But if you do want to check it out, it is on Amazon, but you probably have to look it up under my name, Cindy Winget, because it doesn't always pop up under the title. So anyways, if you're wanting to check it out for this Halloween, to read a book that maybe you haven't heard of, then maybe check it out. Then we have One Dark Night, and this is your classic somebody goes missing type story, but they go missing the day after Halloween, so it has some of the Halloweenness to it. And then another person goes missing type story would be the YA novel called The Wicked Unseen, and this is a sapphic book where a girl's girlfriend goes missing. I think her friend does also, and she's trying to find her, but because this one's a horror book, whereas One Dark Night is a thriller, this one might have some supernatural reasons for the disappearance. And then we have No Rest for the Wicked. This is a new release that just came out this year, and this is about a woman who is called back to her hometown because her father is found murdered in a study, and she's there with the rest of the family, to mourn his death, although I don't think they were very close. And apparently the town that she comes from is really, really obsessed with Halloween, and she hates Halloween. So I don't know if it's as a result of living there or not, but anyway, so it does have those Halloween elements. And then we have a romance novella, and this is called Be My Boo, which I just think is funny. But anyways, this is about a woman who wants to take pictures of this old, creepy, purportedly haunted house, and so she goes to take these pictures, but she gets stuck there and she can't get out, and so she's rescued by this hot fireman, and together they start learning the history of this house, and there's some kind of mystery involved, and they're trying to figure it out together. So I'm hoping to read this one this year. It sounds really cute and really fun. And then we have Hour of the Pumpkin Queen, and this is the sequel to the other Sally book that came out. I think I don't remember what it's called, but something to do with the Pumpkin Queen as well. But this is the sequel, and this is after Sally and Jack are already married, and she becomes, the queen of Halloween Town. But she stumbles upon this new land that has to do with time. And so she's trying to race against the clock to help both Halloween Town and this new town that she's discovered, and try to figure out if she is up to snuff when it comes to the responsibilities of becoming queen of Halloween Town. So I thought the first one was okay. I didn't absolutely love it, but I love Nightmare Before Christmas. I love Sally, so of course I have to check out the second one. And then we have The Graveyard Shift, and this one sounds a lot like The Night Watchers, which I just barely read, about this woman who works at a late night radio station, and somebody calls in and is murdered on air, and then all of this creepy stuff starts to happen afterwards with a serial killer. But Night Watcher was a thriller, and this one's a horror, so I think this one's going to be more of like a slasher maybe, or it might be a little bit more gruesome or suspenseful. So I haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to reading it at some point. And it does take place around Halloween time. And then we have The Ghost Tree, and I just recently read this one and loved it. I thought it was really, really good. So this is about this girl whose father was murdered. His heart was ripped out of his chest. But then in the town where she lives, two girls end up murdered, and it seems very similar to how her dad died, and so she wants to figure out what's going on. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. I thought it was really good, and it does have some Halloween elements in it. Not a ton, but a little bit. And then Just Like the Other Girl, and this is a thriller, and this is about a woman who is in need of employment, and she sees this advertisement for this lady that needs a companion to just be with her, give her companionship, but be there if she has any health concerns. So she, gets the job. But then she soon finds out that all of the other women that have had this job in the past have gone missing. And so she's wondering if she's in danger now. So I really did enjoy this one, and it does talk about Halloween. I mean, again, not a ton, but it does mention October and Halloween, and that it's that time of year. And then we have An Inquiry into Love and Death by Simone St. James, and I just read this one not too long ago. This is a ghost story about this woman who goes to this island where her uncle, he was like a ghost hunter, and he recently passed away, and all the other family thought him being this person that was infatuated with the supernatural. They kind of swore him off and was like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. And so they kind of cut him off, so he was pretty much on his own, and so his niece is the only one that really talked to him, and so it was left up to her to get his affairs in order and bury his body and all of this stuff. So she goes to this island to do that, but she's starting to realize that maybe the ghost that her uncle was trying to hunt down was real and not a figment of his imagination. And then there's another mystery that's going on this island as well. So I did enjoy this one. It's not my favorite of Simone St. James, but I did like it. This one doesn't really have a whole ton of things to do with Halloween, but it does take place in October. And then we have You Are Invited, and this is the same as the Simone St. James book, where it doesn't take place around Halloween. It doesn't really talk about Halloween, but it does take place in October. Still a good one to pick up this time of year. And this one is also a horror novel about this group of influencers that go to this old monastery, and apparently some nuns had come to ruin there, had been murdered, and they wanted to spend a week in this creepy haunted house monastery that just for their viewers. And they each have their own different thing. Like one's like an exercise guru, and then we have our main character who's a writer, and then we have like the makeup person, and just all these different types of influencers that have come together for 1 week of live streaming at this creepy place. And then we have Alone, and this one does mention Halloween, but it also has a lot of snow in it, so you could probably read this around Halloween, but also if you wanted to read it more in November, December, January. But anyways, but it does mention Halloween, so I put it in this list. But we have this group of teenagers that get stranded out in the snow and they don't have anywhere to go, and so our main character's mother says that they can stay at their house until the storm has passed. And so they start this game, and things don't go as planned with this game, and something sinister happens. So this one was a little bit of a slow burn. I wasn't completely enamored with it, but I loved the ending, so I still recommend it. And then The Invocations, and this is a witchy book, so even if it didn't take place during Halloween, this would be the perfect one to pick up, because I just feel like witchy books go with this time of year. So this is about these two girls who get in trouble. One of them accidentally sold their soul to a demon, and things didn't go like she thought they would. And then our other one, her sister was killed, and she wants to bring her back from the dead. And so they meet this witch who can do invocations and says that she can help them. But then off in the distance is a different threat that has come into their lives. So this is another one that I'm hoping to read this year. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. I was so excited for this, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. And I love that this isn't a dust jacket. This is actually printed on the book itself, and I love that. You don't see that very often. And then our last book is Not Quite Dead Yet, and this is the newest by Holly Jackson. So this is about a girl who on Halloween night was attacked, and she suffered a head injury, and the doctors tell her that she has 7 days to live, and then she's going to pass away. So she decides, instead of spending time with family and saying her goodbyes, she decides that she's going to use this week to solve her own murder, to see who did this to her. So some of these books have more to do with Halloween than others. Some of them is just like a little dollop of Halloweenness, and then other ones do have a lot of Halloween vibes, like The Wicked Unseen, for one, has a ton of that in it. So I hope you did find something that you could add to your October TBR, or that maybe you haven't heard of. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up to let me know. Please subscribe to my channel if you feel so inclined. I post every Friday, and I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.